Nike has always upheld a beautiful purpose mission that sport moves the world forward. And having these rich conversations, we are aware of the narrative of what the diversity embodied in the Rams cheerleading team actually brings to the table. And so navigating conversations like this, it's a superpower. It's where we can take such a powerful brand like Nike that is so purpose driven, particularly in our connection and commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and begin to see the microcosms with the various teams that we engage with that can ultimately impact at scale. Coming fresh off the Super Bowl, such an exciting moment, such an exciting time. But you all do so much more than what we see happening at the games. But that's the beauty of learning your stories and hearing so much about your experiences is from a fan perspective, we only get to see one element of you. What's often not captured is the beauty of your backgrounds, your identities, your stories that sometimes go a little too unnoticed. Knowing and understanding the Rams' history and the amazing work and commitment to equity and inclusion, I will never forget reading an article, it was March 28th, 2018 to be exact, where it talked about history being made because the Rams organization had the first 2 male cheerleaders in the league. What was that experience like for you, Napoleon?
Oh my gosh. Thinking about that, I just think about calling my dad in the car after we made it. Old school Rams fan, and being the youngest out of 2 older straight brothers, I was like, I'm the one in the football, like, hey, point for me. But oh yeah, he was so proud. And then after that, it was just kind of the ball kept rolling, it never stopped. And I think diving deeper into the organization and learning more about how they've always supported LGBTQ+IA, and then having our openly gay player, it was just kind of like this perfect match, and I can't really see myself going anywhere else or wanting to. I was like, I'm just lucky that it's in home base for me. Yeah.
When you think about your own journey, the word that's been attached to it is history making and history setting, largely rooted in the fact of this concept of representation. You established an opportunity for so many. Talk to me from your perspective, what does that experience feel like and why is that representation so important?
Oh gosh. Well, I don't really necessarily think about like the titles that they give me because it's kind of weird to think of yourself that way. But I guess I kind of think about when I first saw reality TV of dance shows and saw male dancers for the first time, and it's kind of that same feeling of, oh my gosh, there's this amazing dancer and maybe I could do that too. And that makes me think about how important it is that we all occupy this space to be visible, to be present, and to step proudly into it and be as loud and amazing as you can be, and to have your light shine as bright as you can. So to receive messages from not only young male dancers that are, the first on their dance team or at their studio, but like it goes beyond dance and it inspires people to want to become, for me, a personal story is someone wanting to become a fireman and just being inspired by our physicality and how fit we are. And he didn't know if he could do it, and now he's a fireman because he trained all year. And it's just, inspiration is inspiration. And so it feels good. It feels good when you think about the ripple effect that you've not only had on younger children, younger male dancers, but also now opportunities that other males have to be part of the league.
And I'm certain that power that comes with the concept of representation matters. It's about fostering inclusivity. It's dismantling stereotypes and tropes that people believe of what's possible. And every time you're in the community, I'm certain that that's a felt reality. But one of our teammates here at the table, actually, Eswinn, is a beneficiary in a lot of ways of that. So Eswinn, talk to us a little bit about, from your vantage point, what did it mean to see a male dancer, an openly out gay male dancer in the NFL challenging some of this work?
Well, coming from a Hispanic family, I feel like it's really tough for Hispanic young kids just because they have a vision that male shouldn't be doing female things. Or like just in general, I feel like Hispanic parents don't believe that we can achieve anything greater than just you know, having I don't want to necessarily say a regular job, but just nothing more than the arts, you know, or I knew I wanted to dance, but I didn't have any idol, anybody to look up to. So I feel like after high school, after realizing that I really wanted to dance, I was on my own doing everything I wanted to do. And although I saw backup dancers, you know, male backup dancers, I didn't know, you know, when I was young that they were gay, you know, so it was hard for me to pursue what I wanted to do. But then Napoleon making it into the NFL, that's when I realized, like, okay, like we can, you know, I can do more than just
you have those role models.
More than I was expected, you know, that I had expect for myself. No,
it's such a powerful experience as minority communities, whether women, people of color, the LGBTQ plus community. We operate in these systems of ceilings constantly being established for us, and these barriers that we often talk about that are literally built into the fabric and infrastructure of life that forces us to think about who belongs where or otherwise. I'm curious, Jackie, from your standpoint, was this the first team that you joined that had male dancers, or talk to us about your experience previously?
For the most part, yeah. I grew up dancing at a studio and did competitions growing up. And I don't think we had many male, maybe one in our ballet class who we would do partner ballet dancing with, but he was just the only one. And then when I went to college, in my dance major program, there were men, but I wasn't on a dance team then. So I feel like this is the first, you know, huge team environment that I've had that is so accepting of men, and I brag to everyone I know about it. And it's just kind of like a new normal. I don't even think twice about it. I was the Pro Bowl cheerleader this year, and
Get it.
And one of the first questions I got from a lot of the other people there were, "What is it like having guys on the team?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Of course we have men on the team. Like that's, and then I kind of had to check myself, and then I took that moment to really speak on how amazing it is that our organization does accept everyone. Like it is a place where everyone can feel safe. And there are other teams now in the NFL that do have men, but a lot still don't. So, I mean, it's just awesome that I get to say I get to dance next to. They elevate us. I mean, they really do. They're amazing. So, yeah, it's awesome.
What do you hope other teams will glean from, you know, people call it acceptability. I view it as you all's competitive advantage is the rich diversity that exists in the team. What do you hope that other organizations can learn from that?
I mean, I guess I just hope that other organizations kind of maybe get rid of their old stereotype or their old standard of what their team should look like. I think a lot of people, when they're going to try out for a team, they kind of self-select out of certain teams because they're like, oh, I don't fit the mold of what that type of dancer looks like, or where they're from, or where they grew up, how the style that they were dancing in. You know, they kind of were like, that's not for me because I've never been accepted into that, or I don't fit the mold. So I would hope that maybe teams have less of a mold and just more of a open mind to really just look at the person standing in front of you. Are they talented? Are they hardworking? So that there's less barriers to the dance world.
Yeah, absolutely. Tara, you're one of the newest folks around the table. Talk to us about your experience. You get on the team, you see veterans who have been a part of the fabric of this team, but that don't subscribe to common perspectives and tropes of what cheer is. Veterans like Napoleon, like Quentin that are part of the team. What's your initial reaction?
Oh, I was very excited to try out. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, so I moved here to do an internship at Pepperdine. That was originally why I came out here, and then I tried out just for fun. Like, I was just trying to get some experience, you know, my first professional team to try out for, so I was like, okay, let me just try it out, see what happens. And then they called my number, and I was like, are you sure? Like, me? And so everybody was just so welcoming. I remember running out to everybody, like, after our numbers were called, and we were just giving hugs, and it was just a nice, like, warm feeling, and I don't feel like I had that at, like, my other schools and, like, my other teams, so it was, like, a really nice feeling to have, like, a warm, like, family. Like, I don't have any family here, so these people are my family, so it's a nice feeling to, it's a nice change, honestly, because it's something I'm not used to. So just more people to look up to. I didn't have a lot, I don't feel like there's a lot of people doing what I'm doing specifically, so to see, like, Napoleon and Quentin, they look like me, so I get to, you know, be like them. Just more people to inspire other people, so.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
I want to talk about that a little bit more. So in seeing Napoleon and Quentin, you started to see racial identity come to life in cheer. There's a lot of great studies, research, and articles about the racialization of cheer and how historically cheer has often served as this archetype of whiteness. Talk to us about that experience. Is there a stark difference between the Rams and what you're used to?
Yes, actually. I was on my high school dance team. So my freshman and sophomore year, I was the only black girl. My junior and senior year, there was 2 of us. And then at my college, all 4 years, I was the only one. So I wasn't used to any type of diversity. So when I even came to tryouts, there was just such a diverse group of people. And I was like, okay, this feels good. This feels like home. Like I could actually see myself out here. So definitely not something that I'm used to.
Yeah. So when you were in those environments of non-diverse teams, what was that feeling and that mode of experience like for you?
I just didn't feel like I had people who really understood me.
Yeah.
I struggled with anxiety and depression as well, just because like I didn't have anybody to really lean on. Especially in high school, I really struggled with anxiety and depression. So moving forward, I was just like, let me just try to focus more on me. And try to see if I can make a difference with other people, because I know there's a lot of people who want to do what I'm doing, but they, they're like, oh, well, I don't see other people doing that, so maybe I don't have a chance. So I'm pushing forward to hopefully inspire other people. Just try to, be there for somebody else, because I didn't really have a lot of people to look up to.
That's all you get. That's all you get. No more personality. Cut the cameras.
It's finding empathy and knowing others' journeys and the various complexities that they navigate in the world, where I begin to understand by not telling my story or holding it close to the chest is such a missed opportunity for the inspiration and empowerment that it could offer for the kid in middle school and high school that's just struggling to try to find a way or think about what their future could look like. But rather by openly expressing it, you may be creating a pathway where that kid can say, I know that there is a future, that the reality of that experience is possible. It just takes a bit of time. Napoleon, you talk about this a lot when we're reviewing why your participation in the Rams organization matters. You talk about the idea of being biracial, being openly gay as a means that you hope others will look to that and still see the potential and capacity for their dreams. When you think about newer folks that join the team, how do you create that point of connection and community internally?
Oh man, well, I think the great thing about, it's only been 4 years, so it's still new-ish, if you want to look at the timeline. But
2 Super Bowl appearances for you, though.
I mean, we're doing pretty good.
Okay, now.
We're doing pretty good. But yeah, when someone comes in, they are the first.
Yeah.
They could be biracial, openly gay, but just not black.
Yeah.
And now they are the first.
Yeah.
And now they have the mantle and the responsibility to share as well, to be this icon, this role model, whatever title you want to give them. But I guess it's a cool feeling to like somehow know maybe what they're experiencing or going through, or maybe have answers for them. Because I mean, we talk about visibility being so important, and now it's very easy to be visible with social media and all the platforms. And we are on one of the biggest platforms ever, being part of the league on the NFL, especially the Rams.
Yep.
But it's a sense of home, because I feel like they can trust us when they look at us to have answers, or to trust that they're also like worthy to be here, talented enough to be here. Pretty, smart enough, et cetera, whatever it is, but it's like, you're already here, so now it's your time to shine.
Absolutely. I want to stay on a point that you made, Napoleon, specifically about the multitudinous identities that people bring to the table. Over the last several years, we see this concept of intersectionality rise to the table, rooted in the theory and philosophy of an amazing UCLA professor, Kimberly Crenshaw, around the various identities that people hold and how we bring them to the table, and how far too often we have to negotiate elements of identity just to fit in. Textbook assimilation. Talk to us about your experiences with the Rams organization personally, and having to negotiate those identities in a world where it's well accounted. The LGBTQ+ community has a whole host of challenges with racism. And minority communities tend to have opportunities around how we interact and navigate these complexities.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm from Santa Barbara, and so growing up there was not a lot of mixed anything or culture really. You know, it's a beautiful beach town, and everyone was blonde. So I didn't really feel like I fit in, especially just the way I looked. And then being the only dancer in junior high, and then high school, and then moving to Orange County was like popping in this gay black boy into a TV show that didn't really fit. And so it was kind of like this weird struggle of not being able to connect with everyone, and then also knowing that I'm in the right place because I'm dancing, and I feel like when I'm dancing, that is the most heightened, complete version of myself. Like you see me fully. So I think that's my thread line to carry me all the way through, but during that time as well, it's like you're kind of sacrificing parts of yourself to not be as gay or not be as loud or try to fit in with the straight people because everyone is straight at the time or whatever it may be. So it is this like identity crisis. And then I just came to a point where I kind of just respectfully stopped caring what people thought of me. And once you do that, it's just a lot easier to relax and breathe and make choices for yourself, be more mindful, and it's not gonna sabotage your identities and everything that you bring to the table. So it is definitely a journey, but I mean, when you get to this point and then we create this family with everybody, you see people that look like you, or maybe if they don't look like you, they have that family connection already, and that feels like home. So you get to just step into yourself and elevate, and then lean on each other as well. So
That's great. Jackie, you talked a little bit about your journey at the Pro Bowl and being able to have some of these complex conversations. You know, I often say navigating topics of identity, it's not controversial. People far too long want us to hide certain elements of who we are. Identity isn't controversial. It takes a level of courage to openly and proudly express it, but it's not controversial. But you have shown up as such a powerful ally and advocate. What guides that in your journey?
Oh, thank you, first of all. Honestly, like, my friends here, like, I just feel protective of them. I don't know why, but I feel like sometimes even just out in the community, you get a weird fan who tries to take a photo with just the women standing there. And we don't do that. We take photos as a full group. And so I'm not afraid to be like, nope, sorry.
Yeah.
The men are gonna be in the photo. They were the cheerleaders too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Conversation over. So maybe it just stems from that. I just want to make sure everyone feels comfortable, and I want everyone to know that, you know, me and every woman on our team is like proud to have men on the team and have a team that is full of people that don't all look the same, and that's celebrated. And I'm not afraid to brag a little bit about our team, respectfully. So yeah, I think just for my friends, people I love.
Eswinn, I really appreciated your commentary of the intersection and experience of being Latino identified and having an LGBTQ plus identity. Talk to us a little bit how that played out as you became of age and how you think about it now in your experience.
Growing up, I had a rough childhood. I was actually, my parents were going through a divorce at the time. It was really, really bad to the point where we were moving to we went to San Francisco, at some point to Oklahoma, back to Los Angeles, back and forth, living with my aunt. And at some point we lived in one room all together. It was 3 of my brothers. I'm sorry, I get emotional every time I talk about this.
Please.
But going back to not having anybody to look up to, I knew at the time that I was gay, but I had nobody to talk to. And on top of that, I knew my mom was going through a hard time. And I didn't want to give her any more stress. So I didn't want to talk. I felt I was scared at the same time, but also like I didn't want to put any more stress because I didn't know how she was going to react to all of that. And on top of that, in school, I was actually being bullied from middle to high school. And going back, elementary school, I actually had a teacher that was racist. And this is the first time I talk about this. I just didn't know who to talk to. So I kept everything to myself. Up until I was in high school, I feel like I didn't have anybody to talk to, and it was just hard for me, and I feel like that's why I'm the way I am now. Well, I've actually, because of this team, I feel like I blossomed a little bit more. But prior to that, it was just, it was really tough for me. And I feel like dance, that was an outlet for me to, you know, I found what I loved. And, you know, with that, I was able to express myself a little bit better. But even then, like I mentioned, I was being bullied in high school and middle school, so I couldn't really express myself. You know, I had to be that macho guy in a way. I had to be, you know, but not till after high school. Like, I had to find on my own. I was looking for jobs, you know, auditioning and such. And then after that, that's when I finally auditioned for Disney, and I feel like that was a little bit more open, you know. There was a lot of, you know, LGBT, you know, brothers and sisters. And so I feel like after that, I was able to, you know, become more myself and be more comfortable in my own skin. But it was really tough at first. Yeah. And now being part of this team, like I mentioned, it was, you know, I feel like now I am who I am, and I feel like I blossomed, and I can hopefully inspire others.
Thank you for sharing so openly and candidly. There's such beauty in the resilience. What do you think got you there? I know you mentioned dance was a powerful outlet, but how do you find such strength when the world around you feels unsupportive?
My mom was the reason. I feel like she's the one that really gave me that push, you know, and she even told me a couple of times, like, you know, you can do whatever it is you want to do, and I'll be happy for you to follow your dreams. So I feel like because of her, I am where I am now. If it wasn't for her, I probably would have been lost, but even then, I feel like also dance was another reason why.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing. Tara, it sounds very similar to Eswinn. Dance has represented a point of passion for you. You've used it in many cases to find community and find family. You could have come to LA, taken the role at Pepperdine, and completely let that element of excitement and passion go. Why'd you do it?
I've always dealt with like social anxiety. Like, I get like really afraid talking in front of people, doing presentations and stuff like that. So when it comes to dance, I know that's a talent. I know not everybody can do that. So I'm like, well, might as well use it. Like, I mean, it's a God-given talent, so I'm gonna use it. So I was like, I really wasn't even sure if I wanted to try out at first, just because with my experience in college, I didn't feel like, you know, I fit in. I just felt like there was like a lot of cliques on that team. So I was like, I don't know, maybe it's gonna be the same. But when I tried out, I was like, wow, like everybody was just so welcoming. Even at tryouts, like everybody was just like so happy and so welcoming. So definitely dance has helped me a lot with like my mental health and just kind of becoming who I am.
You both mentioned a common theme, and one of the impacts coming out of the pandemic is we finally are having real talk conversations around mental health awareness and the need to elevate it as a topic of conversation, the need to dismantle stereotypes associated with it, and to normalize these constructions. I often called COVID-19 the great equalizer, because for a period of time, we all had to figure out how to navigate the world far different than how we did before. The interesting part about the human experience is that we want to push so much for what the next thing is that sometimes we miss these critical checkpoints that are pieces. The checkpoint of today is but the dream that you hoped for in the past. And so how do we take those moments and relish in it? I had not anticipated doing this type of conversation. And you know, this is the checkpoint for me, getting to speak to a group of amazing individuals from such diverse and unique backgrounds and experiences that are so much more and that are so much more complex than the stylized representation of the media, than the archetype that's created around who we believe you are. And so I find such beauty in that. I believe that we're all aware of the various rules of engagement and perspectives that matter, But that doesn't mean that we lose sense of self or sense of identity. And so having the opportunity to connect with them before we started the conversation on some of these hard-hitting topics, you're able to understand what are the triggers that excite people. I was able to discover early on, Tara has such a love of dance that her decision to join and be part of this team is very different than Napoleon's, where Napoleon's is very rooted in, this is an amazing career mover, career opportunity for me. Tara's was in search for family and community. And yet they both found that. They both have found inspiring ways to redefine what authenticity looks like for them, and then navigate as they're engaging at the game or in community, where and how to position the beauty of their experience. We as fans have to get comfortable with taking the extra step in seeing individuals as humans and actually understanding that they have a story that was built and born well before the 4 quarters that we see them out there on that field. And that is where trust, empathy, and authentic engagement from our own lens becomes that much more important. For when we take the opportunity to, for a second, see the world through someone else's eyes or story, or walk in someone else's shoes, we begin to understand the full complexity of the human experience.
I feel like I wasted so much time being scared to believe in myself and scared to even try. And it always took someone else saying, you got this, for me to be like, okay, maybe. And then still there was always that voice that's like, I don't know. So I think just also finding that thing, whatever it is, when you're younger, or maybe when you're older, that gives back to you and think, I need to stick with this. I don't know why yet, but I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah.
And for me, that was dance. And I'm so glad I did, because it's given me so much now. And now I feel like I can share my passion with everyone else around me. So I think just keep saying yes and enough of the self-doubt.
Absolutely.
There's a quote that I love, and it's, only those who risk are free. Yeah. So I feel like at some point in all of our lives, it's the same thing as saying yes, we're risking it, right? You're putting yourself in that space. And it's like, you don't know why, there's anxiety, you're unsure, but like, you do know that you have magic in you and that you can do it and that you're stronger than you know, and you deserve to be there, and you know you can take it all. So I think that quote just, for me, is I'm gonna keep risking it, because there's still more that I wanna do and that we can do and that we should be doing. And it's those spaces that you don't see yourself in, which is exactly why you need to be there. Yeah. And for each of us to be on the Rams together, it's like, we all have an individual story, and that's why you're standing in it, because you need to be there to be seen, to tell that story. And then you're gonna grab the next girl and boy or whoever, and they may not be on a cheer team or a dance team, but like, they'll step into that other space and it'll just have this ripple effect. So
it's the beauty in finding your story, expressing it to others, and then positioning it forward. I said we weren't gonna go too much into the future, but I gotta get us there just for a second. You all, as a Rams organization, represent a beacon for so many, not just in the NFL, but in multiple sports leagues. And it's so opportunistic for how we can capture the essence of all these beautiful stories and the connection of family and community that you've created to guide this work forward. The last question for you all, if you could envision a future of the power and impact of this Rams cheerleading organization and the rich diversity that is here, and the impact that it will have on other teams and organizations, what do you hope they will find in terms of inspiration? And I'll open it up, and whoever wants to go first.
I think for me, it's that moment where you look inward and you ask yourself, do I stand for this? Do I stand for all of these things? And then with that, you have the tough conversations, and that's when you begin the change. And not everyone's down for the ride, which is fine, but like, you can scoot over. That's when the change happens, and then that's when you not necessarily start to see, or there are other organizations and teams that look like the next version of yourself, but the world just starts to reflect back into these organizations, which is why I love the Rams, because I look at my team and we look like our city.
Yeah.
And then I look at my football team and we look like our city.
Yeah.
And then I walk in the office and they look like my city.
Yeah.
And I'm here on set and everyone here looks like my city.
Yeah.
And it's just, I want that for everyone.
Yeah.
That's what I hope.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, we can stay on that. Definitely want to see a lot more diversity on teams. I want to see teams represent their community.
Yeah.
I want to see more teams kind of get more into the community instead of just doing just dance or just cheer. Like, try to reach out more, understand like the different types of like diversity that's out in their community, because a lot of people wouldn't understand what other people go through. Yeah. So it's like nice to put yourself out there. Like I've done a lot of food distributions. Those are my favorite type of like community service events, just because I'm able to give back. Like I love seeing people's faces. I did the Inglewood turkey giveaway. Got to give out turkey for Thanksgiving, and it was just really nice to see how our community came together just for that one event. So definitely want more teams to just be out in the community, just doing stuff, just show that they support the community. And definitely want to see the community in the team as well.
Absolutely. Having that interaction both ways, more dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I'll kind of go back to what I said earlier of just kind of breaking the mold of what each team is supposed to look like. And it's never spelled out anywhere, but there's kind of a general understanding, I think, for a lot of teams. Like, this is the type of dancer, this is the type of person. Do I fit into that, yes or no? If the answer is yes, I'll try out and go for it. Maybe things will work out. The answer is no, closed off, I'm done. So I think there should be less of that. I think any dancer in any city should be in a city where they can try out for their team and feel good and confident knowing that I have a shot at this. If you know, if my talent is there and my professionalism, I have a shot there. I don't need to find a new place to go.
It's such powerful sentiments, Jackie, because I can't help but land on this age-old adage that talent is equally distributed. Opportunity, access, and equity are not. And so if these other markets understand the rich beauty that comes with that diversity and the ability for young Black girls to see beyond just the one individual on a team and seeing the rich beauty and diversity that's embodied there, seeing the queer biracial man showcasing excellence and deconstructing stereotypes and putting self and identity at the fore, it can have such a reverberating impact that I truly believe will change the nation.
There would be so much more peace in this world. You know, there's so much hate and such, but having diversity and, you know, more, you know, just being open, I just feel like it would get that message across.
You know, one of the quotes that I've loved the most in the type of work that I do in advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in sport is by the famed anti-apartheid leader and president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela, where he highlights on May 25th, 2000, sport has the power to change the world. He then talks about the impact that it has on kids and how if we use our collective voices in sport, community can be built, policies can be changed, perspectives can be redefined. You all are doing that every single day. The candor and vulnerability with which each of you entered this conversation and hearing your narratives, you are leveraging the power of sport to change the world. And although it's easy for us to only view it from our individual vantage point, I hope that you recognize every day, on Sundays when you go out to that field, during the week when you go out into the community, there are young children that look to your example, that look to your experience, that look to your identity and say, I can do more, I can be better, I can shine brighter because they did it. I think the Rams Cheerleading organization continues to showcase the power and impact of sport to change the world. And if other teams continue to adopt it, we will certainly see a very powerful opportunity where sport becomes a conduit for real change, togetherness, and community building that I feel can happen. I appreciate you all so much for joining me for this conversation today. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.